All right, good morning. I just want to let everyone know that we still have about 2 minutes before the start of the webinar. I'm going to let everyone filter in, but we'll be starting here shortly. All right, good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to the first installment of the Student Business Office's Tuition Tuesdays. I want to let everyone know that this presentation is being recorded and the recording will be made available for viewing on the SBO's website. My name is Rich Dvorak. I am the Revenue Unit Supervisor in the SBO. And I'm here with...
Hi, everybody. My name is Taylor Robertson. I'm a student employee here at Western Washington University.
All right. Thanks, Taylor. Over the next 45 minutes or so, I'll cover online payment, making your payment online, along with basics of your Western account. There are some general bits of information located in the chat box, and I encourage anybody to type in any questions you have during the presentation into the Q&A box. We will reserve the last 10 to 15 minutes of this webinar to answer as many questions as possible. If we don't get to yours, please email your question to sbo@wwu.edu. And Taylor, that's in the chat box as well. Perfect. And we'll get back to you within about 2 business days. So college represents a milestone in your personal and professional development. While you have many new experiences to look forward to, it's important to learn how to actively monitor your Western account. The Western account is a record of all the charges, refunds relating to housing, meal plans, course fees, tuition, and tuition-related expenses. Tuition is due by the first day of the quarter and is considered late if not paid by then. Late fees and interest charges are assessed on the 15th of every month at the end of the day. This date, the 15th of every month, is important to note. Charges to your Western account can appear at any time during the quarter. Fall quarter begins on the 22nd, but let's say you add a class on October 15th around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the day late fees and interest charges are assessed. That charge is due the day you add the class. So if you don't monitor your Western account, you could forget about the charge and find yourself with late fees and interest charges. Now, I wish I could make this presentation super fun and exciting for everyone, but unfortunately paying bills just isn't. If I knew how to do that, I would be on an island somewhere. But it is especially important for you if you have someone paying for college, helping you pay for college, communicate with them. If you don't communicate all those charges, the person helping you is going to be surprised when you get late fees and interest charges, and then they'll call us. And Western doesn't waive those fees unless on a rare occasion it has to do with university error. One of the easiest ways to make sure your time at Western goes as smoothly as possible is to go to the SBO's web homepage and complete the checklist for success. This checklist covers 4 of the most important topics involving your Western account. The release of financial information form is necessary for Western to have a conversation with a third party regarding your Western account. So if a parent, friend, somebody calls on your behalf, that form has to be filled out or else Western can't have that conversation. The authorization to apply financial aid funds form allows Western to apply your financial aid to more than just tuition, room and board, and tuition related fees. Things such as a bookstore charge or a replacement Western ID card. This is especially useful in preventing late fees. If someone is planning on helping you pay for tuition, you'll need to send them a payer invitation so they have their own login. Finally, to get any outstanding credit balances refunded back to you quickly, you must sign up for direct deposit. All right, so now I'm going to go over the basics of the Student Business Office and walk you through how to make your payments online. And we got a quick little PowerPoint here for you, so give me 1 second. All right. So, like I said, welcome to Tuition Tuesdays, and we are the Student Business Office or the Student Business Online. The SBO, that's our nickname. The SBO has a number of different units that work within the campus community. As I said, I'm the supervisor of the revenue unit. We are in charge of processing any payments that come into Western. That includes tuition. Then we have a billing unit, which is responsible for putting your invoice together, your Western account statement every month, the beginning of every month. They load that up so you can see any charges or refunds you have. We have a debt recovery unit that helps any student who leaves Western with an outstanding balance. Our transportation office. Oh, give me 1 more second here. I'm sorry. Seems that my PowerPoint isn't showing. Can you see that? Can everyone see this? Well, what would this be without a little hookup here? All right. How's that? Can everyone see this? All right, terrific. So I'm going to go forward here. All right, we'll get back to the transportation office. So the transportation office, they help students with getting around campus. Oftentimes people come up to Western and they expect to just park and have no problems, but parking is incredibly limited up at Western. So we have this transportation office, which will help you find your way around without having to park and without getting parking citations. The Western Card Office, they are responsible for getting you your Western ID, which is probably the most important thing that you'll ever get up here at Western, because it allows you access to all of our services. So it's a must-have. So if you haven't already signed up for it, or if you haven't already filled out the form, click on that link on the SBO webpage and get your Western card as soon as possible. And finally, we have the Western Box Office, which is your source for tickets for all sporting events, concerts, and plays and things like that. The SBO webpage, homepage, sbo.ww.edu, is your one-stop for all tuition-related information up at Western. We have links at the bottom that'll take you to different offices, financial aid, scholarships, things like that. Plus, we have a virtual scheduler, which will allow you to make an appointment with one of our billing specialists, and you can go over your Western account online in depth with them. So this is something that if you see a charge that isn't familiar to you, you'll want to sign up for that. It's not something you'll ask, what's my balance, because I'm going to show you where you can find that. The best way to get a hold of the Student Business Office is by email. We do have people on our phones, but the number of people are limited, so it's easiest, fastest, and the best way is through email. And our office hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., excluding holidays. All right, when are charges due? And by charges, I'm referring to tuition-related fees, and room and board. Charges are due the first day of class of every quarter. So for fall, it'll be September 22nd, winter, January 4th, spring, March 29th. That's when charges are due. Anytime after that, if there's still an outstanding balance, your account is late. Now, Western assesses late fees and interest on the 15th of every month. So, for instance, September 22nd, tuition's due. You have until the 15th before we add late fees and interest. It is still, your account is still considered late, but you have until the 15th to make a payment, and then it's going to be late fees and interest will be assessed to your account. So how do you pay? Well, the easiest, best, and the way Western recommends is to pay online. And we have two options for online pay. Well, there's three options for online payment. You can pay with an e-check, and that's free. There's no fee associated with that. You can pay with your credit or debit card number, but that incurs a 2.75% convenience fee. So the best way to go is the e-check. We also have a limited number of 529 plans that you can pay directly through the Western account, but there's a $10 charge associated with that. So regarding 529, the GET and 529 plans, you should allow 14 days lead time when requesting that money. So 14 days before the 22nd, in order to make sure it gets to Western on time. But I'm gonna give you a little trick, a little tip to make the 529 plans quicker and more convenient. So we'll go through that in a little bit. So the easiest way to make a payment online is to go to our webpage, sbo.ww.edu. And if you have the ability to pull up another browser screen and do this, I encourage you to do so. It's super easy. So you go to our webpage, you'll see the make a payment. You click on student or parent, so depending on who's doing this. For students, you're just going to enter your universal password and your login, and you'll get in there. Parents, you're going to want to make sure that if you're going to be paying, I should preface that, parents or anyone else who's going to be paying on an account, if you're paying regularly, you're going to want your student to make you an authorized payer, because that'll give you your own login and password, and you can access the account without your student. So once you log in, you're going to click payment towards current balance. You do that, you're going to enter the amount you want to pay, click on add payment, and then you scroll to the bottom of the screen, click continue, and this is going to take you to a new screen where you get to choose your payment type. And keep in mind that e-checks are free. Credit cards have a 2.75%. I should say credit and debit card that you use the number have a 2.75% convenience fee added. So e-check is the way to go. So here's where you'll click on new bank account. Again, if you're using e-check, that's what you'll click on. There's the 529 savings plan, and the new credit or debit card. International payment generally doesn't apply to us, but if you have a question regarding that, please email the SBO and we'll get you all the information on that. So here's the information you're going to want to pay special attention to. You need your routing number and you need the account number, either checking or savings account number. Routing number is usually it's a 9-digit number, and then your account number, depending on your financial institution, is the one next. If you don't have a check, you can usually get this information from your bank's app. If you have an app on the phone, you can log in on the computer, or the easiest way is to give your bank a call, and in less than 5 minutes, you'll have that information. You just want to make sure that the account is capable of ACH payments. So accounts that are funded by a HELOC or checks from credit cards aren't capable of ACH transfers. Just make sure you ask your bank, I'm making an ACH payment, is my account okay? And what is my routing number and my account number? Once you have that information, you can enter it into the bank account on the Western account online. Go back right here at this new bank account, and you can save it. And that makes future payments super easy. No worries. The only thing you have to I guess be concerned about is if you change your bank account, you will need to go in to your Western account online and delete your saved banking information before you make another payment, or else you will send incorrect payment to the bank, and that's where you can get a $25 to $50 return check fee. So you want to make sure that your account information is correct before submitting it. All right, now with the 529s, for those of you who have a 529 funding your tuition, the easiest way and the fastest way to pay with a 529 is to sign into your 529 plan. And then, so I have a Dream Ahead here, which is the Washington State one. It's the most popular one here. There in forms, you'll find on their website, you'll click on forms, and it's going to have a withdrawal form. This is what you need anytime you want to pay your tuition. But you can set up to have the money directly deposited into your checking or savings account. Now, what that does is it cuts down the time for the 529 provider to submit the payment to the university. Instead of 14 days, now you usually only have to wait 1 to 2 business days. Then it gets put into your account. Then you can go into your Western account online and make that payment, and it posts instantly. So it takes from start to finish anywhere from, I'd say, 1 to 5 days, just depending on your financial institution. A lot faster. It's more secure than mail, and it posts instantly. So that's the best way to do 529 payments. Now, the only thing to keep in mind with 529, no matter how you do it, is if you have any questions regarding the tax implications, you'll want to contact your whoever does your taxes and make sure that everything is okay for the current year or whatever. Western doesn't provide tax information, but this is a way that a large number of our students pay with the 529. Now, a quick note about refunds. So almost everybody who goes to Western will get a refund at some time or another. It is important that you set up direct deposit so that you get it as fast as you possibly can. So you should have received, or you should receive in the next month or so, a green envelope. It's kind of cut off down here, but it's from Bank Mobile, and it's required to set up your direct deposit. If you didn't get it, or if you don't see it, or if you just don't want to wait, you can go to refundselection.com, and you'll see it says need a code. You'll click on that and follow the directions, and you can set up your bank account to get direct deposits from Western anytime you have a refund. Again, if you have any questions regarding anything to do with your Western account online or anything we can help you with, the best way to contact is through email. And then we also, we do have a phone, and you can go onto our webpage, and we have it nicely laid out with a bunch of frequently asked questions. We have videos on there as well that'll help you hopefully answer your question. All right, so that is the PowerPoint, and we're all done with that. Now, Taylor, do we have any questions at the moment?
I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. We do have a Q&A little chat at the bottom of the screen if you all have any questions that you would like to get answered.
Well, and so while we're waiting, Taylor, you are a transfer student, correct?
Yes.
So what were your experiences when you came to Western paying tuition?
Oh goodness. Oh yeah. I love to talk about that because I got confused a lot. So when I first started colleges, I made the mistake of actually thinking like every college is the same with payments. So I came here thinking I would have to wait in like a super long line, like dang near missing class because I need to pay my tuition or like pay housing. And of course, like if you already like have been to a college, you know how long like those lines are. And so I came here, like was planning out how I'm gonna pay. And actually a cashier came up to me and was like, yo, like, we have, you can do like an online payment. And I was like, what? And so we take they told me we take credit card, debit card, and e-check. She really wanted me to do e-check because I didn't want to pay like anything any interest. As a college student, I'm broke as is, so I did not want to be paying any extra. And so like now that we have those options, and now that I'm able to like teach other people about those options, it's really fast and really easy for me at least. And literally you can pay tuition like from a click of a couple of buttons from anywhere. So you can pay it from home, you're out with your friends and you're like, oh shoot, maybe I shouldn't be spending this money, let me go pay tuition via phone. you can go on our website and just go ahead and make sure you save your information, because that's just going to make it way easier for you. So that has been my experience, and it has been great to not wait in lines, because I'm very impatient when it comes to that. So yeah, that's how I roll on that. And then there is one question, and it says, can I come into the office to pay my bill?
So currently, Western's campus and our office are closed. So no, not currently. That is why we being Western, really encourage online payments. We do expect our office to open at a limited capacity as the academic year goes on, but the easiest, most convenient way for you is going to be paying online. Now, you can always give us a call or send us an email, and we can give you a better idea. But we make it to where paying online is just the most convenient way. And keep in mind that our office hours are 8 to 4:30. Our lobby hours are going to be slightly different. So we still haven't established that, but online is just going to be your way to go. We do have the ability. It is just going to be more convenient to pay online. So we would encourage everyone to do that. It's just the easiest way to go.
Okay, and then we also have another question. They said, can you talk about payment plans, or do we have to attend the other session?
So the other session is going to be your best bet for payment plans. I can talk about them a little bit, and if you have a specific question, please put it in the Q&A. But I'll let you know that the payment plans that the Western offers, they usually open up I think a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks before the start of the quarter, and they run, I want to say, a week and a half to 2 after. So there's a window where you can sign up. Your first payment is due upon sign up, and then the next one, they're usually due on the 15th. Again, those dates are going to be gone over in greater detail with our other webinar. But so there's a total of 3 payments. And there's split. The initial one, it'll be like October 15th, and then November 15th would be the last one. And it allows you to split up tuition in 3, I guess, smaller chunks. So it is convenient for a lot of people. And it's been incredibly popular since we started it. I think last year was our first year. So it is a good way to do it if that's what you're inclined. And I would encourage you to join that webinar. And again, if you can't join the webinar, all of them are going to be posted on our website, so you'll be able to see them at any time. But they'll go over it more in depth.
Awesome. So we have another question. So it says, my student has a payment coming from different sources. If different payers have access to his account, will we be able to see if other payments have been made?
Yes, you will be able to see when any payment is made on the account. Now, the statement is not real time, so keep that in mind. But the total at the top should reflect the most recent balance. So you'll have to wait usually a month. Again, it depends on when the payment is made, but you'll wait about a month for the the next statement to come out, then you'll be able to see when payments were made and how much were made that way.
Perfect. And then we have a request. So Thomas asks if we can put up the dates for when fall, winter, and spring quarter payments are due.
Yeah, sure. Let me find my slideshow again. And these, so another thing, just in case this, it's not the most important that you see this now, just because on our web or on our web page, the homepage, sbo.ww.edu, we have important dates, and we'll always have those up. But let me get you here. All right, so these are the dates once again, and this is just for the upcoming 2021-2022 academic year. So we have September 22nd, that's for fall quarter, January 4th, and March 29th. And for summer, I think it's June. If you take summer classes, it's June 21st is when classes will start then. But and the 15th, again, the 15th is when late fees and interest are assessed, and it's monthly. So, but yeah, again, we will have important dates on our own SBO webpage, and you'll be able to see when things are due and when you can, the last day to add or drop a class and things like that. We keep it updated. So if you ever, you don't have to keep this, but so I'm gonna switch out of there. And it looks like we have about, I don't know, 10, 15 more minutes. If anyone has any more questions.
Yep. Another question is, when will we typically see charges and scholarships posted to the account?
Let's see here. Taylor, you have that. I sent you a file. Let's see here. So financial aid usually pays a week before the start of the quarter. And that it does depend on the donor, the scholarship donor. So that's why Western has the 15th. We assess late fees and interest on the 15th for this exact reason. Sometimes donors don't submit at the first day of class. It takes them a little bit longer to get the check to us. That's where we have that little buffer so that late fees don't get assessed while you're waiting for financial aid. But they usually it will go on to it usually goes onto the account a week before the start of the quarter.
Perfect. And then we have quite a few questions left. So another person says, any plans to expand the list of 529 plans I can connect directly?
Yes, that is it actually is our vendor, our payment vendor, it's Transact. They actually are in charge of that, but we are hoping they keep adding more and more 529 as often as possible. There are just a number of federal and state regulations that prevent, I guess, a global adoption of them. So as soon as Transact negotiates with the 529 plan, then we add them on. But we're always adding more. We're really hoping to get. It's funny that we don't, but we're really hoping to get the Washington State Dream Ahead. That would be, again, the the best one to get, because the majority of our students who have 529 plans go through Dream Ahead. But there definitely is a plan to get more and more of those. So just stay tuned.
Thank you, Rich. And then do you accept prepayments?
We do. There is, so on, let me see here. I think I have it on one of my slides. Here we go. Let me bring this up for you. So when you go in to make your payment, now again, either as a parent or as a third party or student, what you're going to want to do is, so we have payment, this will pay your current balance, but then we have a fall. So right now you could make a fall prepayment, then there's going to be a winter prepayment, and at the beginning of fall, it'll change, it'll keep shifting to spring and summer, but you absolutely can make prepayments. So if you have somebody who wants to pay your tuition, or it's not really a scholarship, but maybe a neighbor that really liked the way you mowed their lawn or something, and they want to help you out with tuition, they can make prepayments, and so there's no problem with that.
Sweet. And I know we had a couple of questions in the chat as well. So there's one question that says, when will the fall bill be posted, and is there any email notification?
Okay, so an important distinction is that Western will never send you a bill. What Western does send is an email notification to the student's Western email, notifying them that there is a statement ready for viewing, and those generally post the beginning of each month. So you'll be getting an email right around, depending on when the first falls, right around the first of each month, letting you know that there's a statement ready to view. You do not have to wait for that email to view your statement. You can view it, you can go to your Western account online anytime and look at the most recent statements, but that is when Western notifies you.
Perfect. And I can actually answer this question. It says, can books be charged to the student account? Yes, it can, but you do, as a student, you need to go ahead and fill out the authorization to apply financial aid funds, and that needs to be filled out a week prior to financial aid being put on your account. So for the bookstore, I know they said each student has about $600 a charging limit per quarter. And so if you wanted to go ahead and apply financial aid, you just need to make sure that form is filled out. And the last question, I believe, is where is the list of 529 plans that work?
So that list is going to be, and I'll get you this here too. So again, when you go to pay, you're going to see that. Let's see, got you right here. So when you go to, instead of selecting new bank account, you'll click on new 529 savings plan, and it's going to bring up a list of all the plans that we currently serve through the Western account online. So you just need to go there, and again, it updates. It updates whenever they get new plans involved, but that's where you want to go. So right when I think what was the after you hit payment, you go through you're getting ready, you'll just click on new 529 savings plan, and it'll have a list of all the ones that we currently work with.
And then, if tuition and room and board payments fully paid and students make a bookstore charge the next month, when are those miscellaneous charges considered due and or late charges?
Yeah, that's a good, I'm glad you brought that up, because I've just been touching on tuition. So charges like bookstore, the Western ID, if you get a replacement card, those charges are due 30 days from when you incur them. So if you go to the bookstore the first of let's just say 1st of September, the 30th is when they would be due. So they're a 30-day charge. So the tuition is due again the first day of the quarter, and then it's 15th it's late. But if you go to the bookstore, you have 30 days from when that charge hits your account to when it's considered late.
Thank you for answering that. And then one more question. So it says, so do you pay for bookstore charges typically with a credit card? It doesn't just directly go to your student account?
Well, you do have the ability to charge your student account. Taylor, you mentioned something about that. So there's a limited amount. I think it was. Did you say
600?
Yeah, 600. And there's also a limited time frame for that payment. So if you do charge your student account, if you go over to the bookstore and you have them charge your student account, you can't. That is a method of paying for it. Otherwise, yeah, you would have to pay with debit, credit, cash, check, whatever, whatever you have. But you do have the ability for a window, and I want to say it's maybe the first 2 weeks of the quarter, you can charge your student account. And if you have any more questions about that, go ahead and send us an email. We can get you all the information on that. But again, you can charge it for about 2 weeks into the quarter, and for up to $600.
Perfect. And I think those were our last questions.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And remind you all that this webinar will be made available on the SBO's homepage. And I guess on behalf of everybody at Western and the SBO, welcome to Western, and we look forward to seeing you up here.
Have a good day, everyone.